Hey everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back. I am Chris. This is my Zepbound journey. This is week 30. I do a weekly weigh-in on Wednesday of my weight loss. I started the very last day of February this year, and I did two boxes, 2 months of 2.5 and 22 weeks so far of 5 milligram. I just picked up my 7.5 milligram from the pharmacy. So I have a few things to cover. This week has been the changing of the medicine thing drama. It's like, as the Zepbound world turns, I see everybody else that I follow, the interesting just problems that people are having, switching, number one, from like Zepbound to Wegovy, or not being able to get their prescription filled. So I'll give you my little story in a minute. We'll just cover the quick week things. I weighed in this morning at 204. Last week I was 205.6. I had gone as low as 202 midweek, the end of last week. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get into Wonderland, as everybody calls it. But that did not happen. And it's not going to happen because, as you all know, I'm going on an Autism of the Seas cruise coming up shortly. And I really doubt I'm going to drop down into Wonderland then. So I'm kind of shooting for the beginning or middle of October, which is still before my birthday. And my birthday is November 1st. And so I'm hoping that I will drop into that category before my birthday. It's been a great, really good week in terms of how I've been feeling and working out. I think I'm catching a little bit of a cold from my grandkids. My grandson spent the night on Saturday, and I took him to a plant show, and he was like snuffling and sneezing, and we decided it was allergies then, but it doesn't appear to be, because my husband and I are both feeling a little bit under the weather. So I have some homemade chicken soup cooking downstairs, and I went to my favorite Mexican restaurant to have tortilla soup for lunch, and I'm drinking a bunch of lemon, echinacea, ginger, and hoping to get rid of this before our last vacation of the year coming up. So anyways, food-wise, it was pretty good. I am feeling a little bit of hunger coming back. I am noticing, even though I am trying to eat slowly, which I am by nature a really slow eater, but I'm noticing my portions are getting bigger. I am not as satisfied with the smaller portions that I've been eating for a long time. And so that's been interesting to me. So I'm doubling down on my efforts to eat slower and to make my portions smaller. And if I make anything bigger, I make my salad bigger. Eating a lot of protein still. So it's real. I'm very, very happy with how it's going along. This week, getting my medicine filled, my goodness. So this is annoying. As you know, CVS Caremark kicked millions of people, I think it's millions, it's a lot of people, off of Zepbound at beginning of the summer. I was able to get a 3-month vacation prescription filled, so I had 3 months in my refrigerator, which was great. It was covered at that time under our insurance plan, so that was wonderful. So in my whole journey, my first month, I paid out of pocket. I did pay $1,100 because of insurance mess ups, whatever. And I really wanted to get started. I was afraid that I would chicken out if I didn't start. So my first month, I paid a full amount for my Zepbound. Last month, I paid $1,100 when I ordered it from Amazon, which is crazy. Like, it is. My husband just recently retired. I don't know how anybody could afford to be on this long term. I haven't really decided how long I'm going to do this. My hope is that as new drugs come out, like the new drug that Eli Lilly is coming out with next year, retatrutide. It's in the end stage clinical trials. It's got to somehow affect pricing on Zepbound. I don't know. What I did notice today when I went to pick up my prescription was, prior it was $1,100. It was $1,100 through Amazon last year. When I went to pick it up at CVS, it was $9.58 before they took my savings coupon that I downloaded. I had to go through a bunch of stuff on Eli Lilly Direct. It's not too difficult. I had some computer glitches the first couple times. It took me a couple days to do it because my Apple kept screwing it up. But by the third day, I was able to print a savings card, which looks like an insurance card on a piece of paper, and gives them a discount code. So it brought it down to $650 this month for 7.5, which is more than 5. So I don't know if the Reducing Drug Prices Act is kicking in. I don't know why it was cheaper for 7.5 than it was for 5 at CVS, and still $1,100 at Amazon. I'm not sure. These are things I will all find out after I've gone on my vacation and come back, because you can't find out this information easily online. If any of you all know, please drop the comments in there, but it's just a complete mystery every time I go to get my medicine filled. So the trauma of filling my medicine, not really trauma, the pain of, there's just the frustration of filling this medicine this time. So I called CVS because I thought, okay, when I went to fill my medicine through Eli Lilly Direct, which was going to be shipped, they ship it through Amazon, whoever they're private. My doctor phoned it in direct to Eli Lilly, and then they use one of their 2 pharmacies, whatever, and you have a choice of Amazon or somewhere else to ship it to you. And I said, Amazon's fine because I'm set up there. And they had said to me when I went to fill it, you may have a problem. They seem to have a hard time accepting the discount card, which they did. And I ended up in a panic ordering it because I thought, I'm not going to have my medicine for when I go on vacation. I want to get it. I don't want to deal with, it took me, I spent a whole week trying to get them to accept the card, putting in all the information. It didn't work. So for whatever reason, Amazon did not honor it. And it kept saying, we'll ship it for full price right now, but this is going to take some time. It was really annoying. So I'm like, okay, just ship it so that when I go, I will have my medicine. I won't have to panic. So last week I thought, well, I'm going to fill my 7.5 now. And so that when I get back, I still have 1 week. I have a week on vacation that I'm using it and a week when I get back. And then I'm going to bump it up to 7.5. And so I asked my doctor if he would just phone in the prescription to CVS, the place where I used to get my medicine, my Zepbound filled before. And he said, sure, no problem. I explained to him the discount card, savings card was not working with Amazon. And I've heard that it's easier to use. And Eli Lilly actually themselves said it was sometimes easier to use at the pharmacy. So I did that and they were correct. I printed out the copy of the card with the RX bin number and everything else on it. So when I called a couple of days ago to fill my order, my doctor sent it in last week. So when I called to check it to see if it was ready, I got a message that my order for liraglutide was full. And I'm like, what's liraglutide? Well, liraglutide is Victoza or Saxenda. It is a GLP-1, just like Ozempic. Now, why wouldn't, okay, I don't want Ozempic and I don't want Wegovy, which is what I had heard CVS and CVS Caremark was substituting for Zepbound for all of us that are forced to go on it if we want our insurance to cover it. Number one, it's a different medicine. It is a GLP-1 only. It does not have the GIP component that Zepbound has. I've said that forever. And the GIP is what helps with food suppression. So I have been like kicking and screaming. I don't want to switch. I don't want to switch. That's my personal opinion. Plenty of people have switched. They love it. My son-in-law's on it. He likes it. I was on Zepbound. I kind of want to stay on Zepbound. I'm happy with it. I'm rarely happy with medicines that I take. And so it just seemed to want to open a whole Pandora's box, switching myself to another medicine. So of course I couldn't talk to a human. I had to like press a bunch of buttons and ask them to call me back, which they did in an hour. And I said, what is liraglutide? That is not, my prescription is for Zepbound. My doctor phoned it in. First thing the pharmacist said to me is, Zepbound's not covered on insurance anymore. And I said, I know that. And he said, well, we are filling them with, your insurance will pay for this one. I said, well, this one, what is liraglutide? He said, it's an older GLP-1 than Wegovy and Ozempic. And I said, well, Bob, I said, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I didn't want Wegovy or Ozempic, and I really don't want the older version, even if my insurance is covering it. I would like the Zepbound that my doctor phoned in. And so he said, well, what did he say at that point? He said, your doctor declined it or canceled it and put in an order for this. And I said, no, there's no way. I just talked to him like 3 days ago. And I said, okay, let me get off the phone and call my doctor. So I got off the phone. I called my doctor's office, talked to Haley at my office and said, CVS Caremark is saying you canceled my order and put it in for liraglutide. And she said, that's not true. And I had even said to Bob, my doctor canceled it, and he said, yes. I said, on what day? He said, September 11th. I said, when? He said, 8:55 in the morning. And Haley said, no, we did not. And so, back and forth. I spent a good part of the day dealing with this. So then I called back and left a message and said, can you please call me back? Can I talk to the pharmacy manager, please? So Bob called me back and I said, listen, my doctor didn't cancel it. And he said, yes, they did. And I said, well, they didn't. And I said, listen, bottom line, I said, I know this isn't your fault that I can't get my medicine through with my CVS Caremark anymore. I said, but that is what the order was for, and that is what I want. And yes, I will be paying for it. I will be using a savings card. And he said, well, your doctor is going to have to fax in a new prescription. Back off the phone. So I said, okay, I'll do that now because I really need it by Friday. I like to get it real early. In general, I like to have a couple weeks padding time. I never lived through what a lot of people in here lived through, which is the shortages and the shortages and having to go back and forth and doing compounding pharmacies. And so I've been very fortunate. I started it at a good time, other than the fact that my insurance is not covering it. So I said, okay, I will do that right now. So I did. I got off the phone. I called my doctor back and I said, well, listen, he said, well, sometimes their computer bumps it back to us as a cancellation. I said, well, speaking to them in the office, they didn't do that. Whatever. Could go on and on, back and forth. Please just fill my medicine. And so I called my doctor back. She said, we'll get it in right away, which she did. So I went today to pick it up and I wasn't sure, is it going to be ready? Is it not going to be ready? Are they going to charge me $1,100? Is it going to be more than that because it's 7.5? So it ended up being $859 before the discount. So I was actually quite happy with that it was $859. And then after they had to go rerun the whole paperwork again. They don't make it easy when you're trying to save money on this product. And that's a little bit frustrating and disappointing. I'm sure you all share that same frustration. I mean, I've even had people comment on my comments that actually worked for CVS Caremark, and they were going through the same thing. Like the person who worked in the office there at the beginning had the same difficulties we did. I guess they don't give them any slack. But so my 7.5, which is more than my 5.0, instead of it being $8.59 is $6.50. Now I did ask him when I checked out, I gave him the copy of the savings card, and it's good for 13, I'm unclear if I don't think it's 13 months. I think it's 13 vials. So I used it for 4. Now, one question is, they only come in packs of 4 as far as I know. So I'm not sure how I'm going to get 13, not vials, auto pens. I'm not on vial. Maybe you can get 1 vial. I'm not sure. But it's good for 13. So I'm going to, for the next 3 months, be able to pay $6.50 unless the price goes down again for 7.5. So that's my update on my dosage, my weight. I dropped 1.5 pounds, which I'm very happy with. I'm really close to the weight I want to be at. I was working out like crazy the last couple days. I haven't because of this potential cold that I might be carrying from my beautiful grandkids. Let's say it's, you know what, it's probably not from my grandkids. It's probably from touching the cart at the grocery store. I would never blame a cold on my grandkids, because they are just lovely, and that would never happen. So I'm sure I picked it up at the store. But at any rate, that is my last week. We're going into week 30 now on Zepbound. And I'm pretty darn happy with the speed that I'm losing right now and how I'm feeling. Next thing I wanted to talk about, if anybody's still with me, 17 minutes in, is I wanted to talk about the new drug that's coming out. So with all of these, when we were talking about prices, or I was talking about prices, and they're all kind of all over the place. You've got savings cards here. I also was curious because I heard that Costco will fill these prescriptions. And Costco, to my understanding, has some prescriptions that are less money. I'm going to have to go and find out if it's price fixed across the board, or if Costco doesn't mark it up. I don't know how this all works, but I am interested. If anybody out there has filled it at Costco, I'd love to hear if you paid less for it. They also accept the savings card. So I am interested what the price at Costco would be. And you can't easily find this stuff online. I find out way more information from you, my community, and my friends out there than I generally do online. So my interest, though, because as you know, I follow all these people on here that are using this product more for like cutting weight and weightlifting, some of the people that I follow. It's very interesting to me. And a lot of people in the weightlifting community have used retatrutide, which is supposed to be like the phase 3. We've got all the oral tablets coming out and all different kinds of things. But I'm interested because I've liked Zepbound so much, what the next Zepbound looks like. And let me do a quick explanation of the 3 medicines and what they do. So the 3 medicines that I'm talking about, the first one is pure semaglutide, like the one thing that's in it, and that is Ozempic, Wegovy, and Rybelsus, which I hadn't heard of, and it's peptide targeted. It's a GLP-1 receptor agonist, glucagon-like peptide 1. What it does: increases your insulin secretion when your blood sugar is high, and reduces glucagon secretion, so it lowers sugar release from the liver. It slows gastric emptying, which is what Zepbound does as well, and that makes you feel full longer. And it has strong appetite suppression, so it helps with weight loss. My daughter has gone so far as to say she felt like the appetite suppression was even better on Wegovy. although she likes Zepbound better. I'm not sure why. I think maybe she has a little more nausea with the GLP-1, with Wegovy, with the flat out GLP-1 receptor. The next one, Zepbound and Mounjaro, are tirzepatide, and they're peptide targeted. It's a GLP-1 receptor agonist, just like Wegovy and just like Ozempic. But the additional thing in Zepbound that I feel is what works best with my body is the GIP receptor agonist. And this is glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. What it does everything that the GLP-1 does, same as semaglutide. These are really long words. I feel like I'm speaking a different language. But the Zepbound has plus the GIP effect. And that, in my brain, I don't think it's, what do you call it when it's, I don't think it's a, fake in your brain. It's because your brain thinks it. Can't remember the word. So much for that creatine working. I don't think it's a placebo effect, but the GIP effect enhances insulin release. It may improve fat metabolism, and it may reduce nausea side effects seen with pure GLP-1 drugs. So maybe, that's my elbow, y'all. That's not me. It may reduce the nausea side effects seen with pure GLP-1 drugs. So I guess the GIP can be responsible for having some people feel better when they take it. What I do know is in some of the testing, it is supposed to help improve fat metabolism. Now, what the exciting thing about retatrutide is, and will probably be at my goal weight when it comes out, so I don't see that I would take it. This is for people who have not had good success on either Wegovy or Zepbound, or maybe people that are losing weight a little bit slower on these drugs and would like to, or maybe losing like a half a pound a week and they'd like to lose 1.5 pounds a week or whatever. I can see the benefits of this next stage of drugs. So retatrutide, which is in clinical trials and not FDA approved yet, is peptide targeted. It's a GLP-1 receptor agonist, just like Wegovy and Ozempic and Zepbound and Mounjaro. It's a GIP receptor agonist, just like tirzepatide, Mounjaro, and Zepbound. And it is a glucagon receptor agonist. So the third thing in there is what is like the magic. What it does, retatrutide, is all the GLP-1 and GIP effects on the first 4 products that I listed, plus the glucagon effect, which is increases energy expenditure, it burns more calories, it promotes fat breakdown, lipolysis, and may further enhance weight loss. Early studies show record levels of weight loss, even beyond tirzepatide. So if you are one of those people that is a real turtle and you would like to lose weight a little faster, this is an exciting time for these weight loss drugs. I'm really excited about it. What the people who are weightlifting say is you lose much less, if any. I mean, I'm hearing like none. I don't know if that's completely true, but that's what I'm hearing in feedback from people who are participating in clinical trials, is they're not losing muscle mass. They're losing more fat. That is so exciting. When I started hearing about this at the beginning of my taking Zepbound, I thought, wow, that's really exciting. I feel like I have gone very far on Zepbound, and I don't have any interest unless I either balloon back up, go off Zepbound and gain all my weight back, which would be upsetting, and I'm not planning on doing that. Or if this just stopped and I wanted to lose another 20 pounds, which I'm not sure if I do. So anyways, that is exciting. There are also a bunch of oral medications coming out. Now I am hearing that that's going to be wonderful for like travel, for people that don't like to do needles, people that don't like the auto pen. And even if that can be used as kind of a maintenance drug after I'm at my weight, like if I get to my goal weight and I can take an oral pill that does close to what tirzepatide does, that would be phenomenal. Because I would, in all likelihood, go off the auto pen, keep all this stuff out of the landfills or whatever they do with it when you put it in your container and get rid of it. But I can see that as a win-win too. So if you are not losing weight quickly or if there's, I think like 6% of people that don't lose weight at all on some of these drugs, and it doesn't mean that you're a failure at all. It just means that that's not the problem with your body. Like this is like a problem solution kind of thing. I don't feel like, I mean, for some people it works great. And for those people, they in all likelihood had, they had these deficits going on in their body that this particular medicine addresses. So, I mean, it's truly as simple as that in terms of it being successful or not. So that's it. I talked about my week. I was very happy. Week 30, going into week 30, and I'm going to be ramping it up to 7.5 in a couple weeks. That'll be interesting. I really wavered on doing it. I think it's just going to kind of get me over the last like 10 pounds that I think I want to lose. And then I envision either going back down I don't know what they do. If they take you back down to 5, back down to 2.5. Either way, it's cheaper when you're on the smaller dosages. So that's good. And possibly if they have the oral tablet going, maybe if it's an exact ingredients as Zepbound, then we'll give that a try. So I hope your week is going well. I just wanted to check in on my Wednesday. So that's it for my week 30, going into week 30 wrap up. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, drop them below. Just happy to fill you in on how this Zepbound is working for me. And I'd love to hear how it's working for you. Have a great, great day. Bye.